So catch everybody up on, for those that didn't follow it, and what happened this weekend, what you're hearing this morning, and what it means.
What happened this weekend, the NFL has contracted with BioReference Labs to handle all of their tests. They're doing a couple thousand roughly a day, and they're using 5 different labs throughout the country to process the results. They got a large number, 77 positive tests came back on Saturday, all from the same lab in New Jersey. So the league thought, well, this is odd. It doesn't jive with what we're seeing in other places in terms of positives. Let's retest all these people. They gave them 2 different retests. And as of last night, all 77 had come back negative. Now, teams kind of freaked out, as you would expect, when they hear the positive test. The Browns canceled practice. The Bears pushed their practice back. Some guys were held out of practice because they were part of this group. But fundamentally, none of the 77 people involved were sick. And the league really thinks that it was good that it happened now, because the league and the union are still negotiating how the game day testing procedures will work, i.e. what will happen if a bunch of people test positive on game day or the night before game day. So having some sense of how quickly they were able to turn around and identify false positives could be a benefit as they structure those protocols and help answer those questions about what happens if this happens on a game weekend in the regular season.
This feels important to me. Tim Hasselbeck, what does it feel like to you?
Well, I mean, it feels like more of a disaster than a positive, and I understand why the league would say it's a positive when, you know, the company they're contracting, you know, returns 77 positive tests. Just for perspective, that's more, you know, positive tests than people decided to opt out of the season. You know, that's 3% of the current active players in the league right now. That's a big, big number. And Dan, you know, referenced, you know, a couple thousand tests a day by this company. Well, how many tests were at this lab? Were there 100? Because if 77 positive tests, like, that's a pretty big deal. Were there 500? Like, it obviously changes the picture. I think there's a lot we don't know that the league hopefully is sharing with the union in terms of the actual facts of that. And so, look, I think we're at this point where the season is right around the corner. And if we're getting this type of kind of inaccuracies and then a quick hurry up to try to figure out if it's right or not, look, that's a bad thing for, honestly, the country and also the NFL.
Yeah, the critical piece here is that you have to be able to have confidence, I would assume, if you're the players, coaches, and anyone else involved, in the tests themselves. So, Mike Tannenbaum, as you listen to this conversation, you hear the league's perspective, you hear Tim's perspective. What's yours?
Well, just talking to a couple teams over the weekend, they're planning / bracing for uncertainty and just some of these events happening during the season. So, for example, one team practiced their punter at safety over the weekend just in case. And by the way, they're also expecting it from a coaching staff. Take somebody like Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is in a high-risk situation. He's the play caller for Tampa Bay. Will he call some of the games from the booth? Will he be available for 16 games? So teams, unfortunately, expect this to happen, and they're trying to do what they can within reason to be prepared for that once the season begins.
That's a really interesting perspective. Look, at the end of the day, everyone is going to have to be nimble in ways that they've probably never considered before. Again, Graziano with the very latest reporting here, and we'll keep an eye on it as it goes.